If President Putin came here to Slovakia, I would invite him. We all know that he is under an international arrest warrant. You would probably make a public statement that the law enforcement agencies should take action. They should arrest Mr. Putin, that's right, we'll see when it comes to that. But wait, that's not a theoretical question. But you see, you will answer the basic question. Once again, so if I invited him here I would say that I provide protection to the President of the Russian Federation. So I assume you would. They shouted that of course he should be immediately arrested, and taken straight to The Hague or I don't know where. So I'll ask, you will shout, you will demand Poland to have law enforcement agencies arrest the Israeli Prime Minister, who is going to Poland, and there is the same international arrest warrant for him as there is for President Putin. But we are done, gentlemen. Double standards, you have absolutely no answer to that. Because my visit to Moscow was supposed to be a violation, a threat and the biggest disaster. What will you say about President Macron, who is going there, that is? That the French president can go to the Oboska. The German chancellor can talk to him on the phone every other day, and we have a problem with gas. I go there, so you accuse me of committing treason for the sake of the homeland. After all, we have a little respect for each other. When it comes to basic facts, why are you all silent now? When the newly elected American President Trump has publicly accused President Biden of provoking Russia to use military force against Ukraine. Because that is in America, it is like not commented on. That is no longer the case. I am very glad that our words are coming. Maybe we were bolder when we formulated some things earlier. But today what we said from the very beginning is confirmed by the highest representatives of the American administration, which of course encourages us to continue to be even more sovereign in our opinions. I went to Russia to ask, first of all, are you, the Russian side, ready for other technical solutions, such as the transit of Russian gas through Ukraine? And there were two technical solutions ready on the table, which were agreed with the Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal of the Ukrainian government. The first solution was that Azerbaijan would carry out a swap operation together with the Russians on the Russian-Ukrainian border, and Russian gas would not go through Ukraine, but Azerbaijani gas would go. The Ukrainian side agreed to this. Both the Russian side and the Azerbaijani side agreed to this until the famous decision of President Zelensky at the European Council meeting came, which put everything on hold. Then the second technical solution arrived, SPP Matka, which we acquired into full state ownership of the state, was ready to create a daughter, and this daughter would buy gas on the border between Russia and Ukraine, which would then be transported through the territory of Ukraine as Slovak gas and not as Russian gas. The Ukrainian-Russian side also agreed to this, so my question to Moscow was the first. Are you ready, gentlemen here in the Russian Federation and in Gazprom, to proceed with these technical solutions that will ensure that gas transit will continue? President Putin has guaranteed that they will honor their commitments. And whether you gentlemen from the opposition like it or not, because when you see Russia, you see the devil, you see nothing else. Russia has always been a reliable partner. When it comes to energy supplies, it has always been a reliable partner. Russia has never deceived us, unlike Ukraine. I remember the situation in 2009, when I was in Ukraine, asking Ukrainian Prime Minister Tymoshenko to give us some gas from the storage tanks that are in the western part of Ukraine. So she sent me to hell. Those are typical Ukrainians. I am not here to follow the President Zelensky, and I admit that sometimes I am fed up with him. He goes around Europe, just begging and blackmailing others, asking for money. This simply has to end. Try to think a little about this country, not just about your narrow-minded political goals. What will we do, for God's sake, when the gas is gone? You think the Germans will send us gas when they have little? When they have little, they won't send us anything. They didn't send us anything, and it could happen that the country that was at the beginning of the pipeline, we were pushing the gas from the Ukrainian border towards the west. We were at the beginning of the pipeline. We are becoming a country that is at the end of the pipeline. Because we all talk about importing gas from the west. And why would the Germans and others, when they have little gas, give us gas for our domestic consumption? This situation is much more dangerous than you can imagine, so blaming me for deciding to solve this situation in Moscow is extremely interesting and ridiculous to me. There was a Security Council today, and I will say this in just one sentence. We are seriously considering the investigation version that the attack on the Katastra came from Ukraine. What is it? What, and wasn't it Ukraine that blew up Nord Stream, or was it? You know very well that they needed a lot of money for that. Special equipment and special forces. It couldn't just be done like that. Everyone is quiet. Nord Stream can be blown up. You were all quiet when they said that sabotage actions were being prepared against our oil terminal. You are simply not interested in this at all. One of the investigative versions we are working with is that the attack has arrived. The attack has also arrived from Ukraine. Not to mention that inside the Cadastra some employees who worked there were opening the door to this attack. So it will still be very cheerful, but Mrs. Remisova, you better don't look at me, because those people are very close to me, so I would be very careful not to discuss it here in front of you now. I will not let myself be pushed into any games. Listen, it is very nice. I am going to Davos, that's the end of it, and suddenly we have a big request on the table from the co-owner of the Daily SMEH, Mr. Soros, that he wants to meet with me. So I answer him in advance that he will not even move me, except that of course he would make a circus. That he would take 10 journalists, catch me somewhere in the hair, he will force me. Shake hands with them, they will take a picture of it and you will scream with laughter. That Fico met with Soros. If I meet him as a co-owner of the Daily SME, an anti-state, anti-government daily, similar to the Daily N, I will tell him that the Italian Prime Minister Marin is absolutely right. This is not a multi-billionaire who interferes in internal affairs and the political situation in Europe. But it is Soros and his wild organization of non-governmental institutions that are liquidating what is currently happening in Europe. If Mr. Soros provokes a meeting, I will tell him this and of course I will move on. I am not interested, I say this very openly. I am not interested in any meeting with Mr. Soros.